what's up guys, it's TechSummer talking to you here, and today we gotta talk about the M2 MacBook Air, because I've done several videos on the M2 MacBook Air, but today I think that this will be my final thoughts on the M2 MacBook Air after a month of seeing people using it and after 2 weeks that I've used it. So in the last month I've changed my mind several times on the M2 MacBook Air, but the main one has been the fact that I've seen a lot of people using the M2 MacBook Air, and I've seen the power that it can deliver by using it for 2 weeks. But after thinking a ton about it, I think that the M2 MacBook Air is not for everyone. Just because, although it's cheaper than the MacBook Pros, it's not as good of a deal as you are thinking. So if you are interested in that, this won't be a negative video. This won't be me trashing on the M2 MacBook Air. No, this will be me trying to recommend you the best option for you, that you are looking for an M2 MacBook Air, of course, but do you really need an M2 MacBook Air? So, if you do really want an M2 MacBook Air, you don't care about what I'm saying, then you don't need to watch this video. But if you are interested in watching this video and are thinking about, should I get the M2 MacBook Air? Should I get the M1 MacBook Air? Should I spend a little bit more for the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch? Then this video is for you. So, if you are enjoying this type of content on my channel, don't forget to drop a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and of course, as you know, in the last month, I made several videos about the M2 MacBook Air, and all of them were positive, to say the least. In my first impression video, I was astonished how good and how slim the MacBook Air was. Then, in my second video, I compared it to my M1 Max MacBook Pro and found out that the performance difference in terms of the M2 for most people wouldn't make that much difference. Then, on my third video and final video, the review, I told you that the M2 MacBook Air was an incredible computer. It was very good, and I recommend you to buy it for the spec of 512 gigabytes of storage and 16 gigabytes of RAM. But 1 month has passed since I bought my M2 MacBook Air, and now it has settled in the fact that most people 512 is not enough, and if it is, then you will have to buy external storage for later. So it's very important that you think about this. The M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch starts at $19.99. If you spec out the M2 MacBook Air to have 1 terabyte of storage and 16 gigabytes of RAM, it will cost you, listen to this, it will cost you almost $17.99 in terms of dollars, American dollars. So $200 difference to go and jump for the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch. And with that $200, you buy promotion display, a mini LED display, much better speakers, much better thermal performance, much better performance in general, much better graphics performance, much better keyboard, much better build quality, much better I/O. The list is almost infinite. The amount of things that you get on the M1 Pro MacBook Pro that are better than the M2 MacBook Air are huge. Especially the performance, the display, the build quality, and the thermal capabilities. So listen to this. If you want to buy an M2 MacBook Air, think about it. I just need you to think about the fact that, am I going to get a base model M2 MacBook Air, or am I going to spend more money on the M2 MacBook Air? In my opinion, if you are going to get the base model, or at least the 512 gigabytes of storage, and then not upgrade the RAM, and you don't really need the rest, then the M2 MacBook Air is an amazing deal. But the problem with the M2 MacBook Air is that it's placed on a lineup between the best 2 computers that Apple has ever released on their price ladders. The base model M1 MacBook Air, which starts at $999, but for education starts at $899, and of course, the $1999 M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch. In my opinion, the best deal on any laptop ever on Apple, and of course on Windows too. And so the problem is that the fact that the M2 MacBook Air is sandwiched between the 2 best laptops that Apple has ever released in terms of value for money, and just the M2 MacBook Air doesn't have a chance when compared to those 2. Because it's more expensive than the M1, it's better, but it's more expensive and it doesn't justify the extra price. And in some things, the base model M2 MacBook Air is worse than the base model M1, just like the speeds of the SSD, which impact performance at the end of the day. And of course, the best and way more performance-focused M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch, which has a way better display, way better build quality, and way more features. That for only $200 difference between the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch and the M2 MacBook Air with 1 terabyte of storage and 16 gigabytes of RAM, then it just makes sense that you go for either one. The M1 MacBook Air if you want to save money, and the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch if you want to get the best deal and the best computer you can for your money. So, the thing that I want you to take from this video is the M2 MacBook Air is an amazing computer. I'm not criticizing it, I'm not telling you it's trash. It's an amazing computer. But only if you get the really low spec ones. For example, the 512 gigabytes of storage, which is $100 extra, and the 8 gigabyte of RAM, which is the base model. You do not need to upgrade the CPU, anything. Just get the M2 base model with a little bit extra storage, so you don't have to deal with the problem of the slow SSDs. So, yes, is it a good deal to get the M2 MacBook Air? Sure, it is. But only if you get the really low spec versions. If you start spending more money on that, more storage, more RAM, the newest and shiniest CPU, then I don't think it's worth it. I think you should just jump up for the M1 Pro MacBook Pro. Even if you're not a pro, you should just go for the Pro, because the Pro has way more features that you will enjoy very much, like the mini LED display and the promotion. You should never, but never, never fall for the trap the M2 MacBook Pro is, because the M2 MacBook Pro is a huge trap. This is the worst deal on the Apple Silicon lineup. Do not buy this computer ever. If you do need sustained performance and the M2 MacBook Air is not enough because it thermally throttles a lot under very heavy loads, or at least longer loads, then do not get the M2 MacBook Pro, get the M1 MacBook Pro. It will be cheaper and it will be able to sustain the performance loads that you need. But if you do really need those types of performance and those types of high-end workloads, then the MacBook Pros are for you. Like, do not run away from the $1999 MacBook Pro, the 14 version. It's an amazing computer. You will love it so much. And nowadays, $200 or at least $200 in this inflationary environment is not that much when compared to $200 before this inflationary environment. So be in mind of this. A mini LED display, a promotion display, more I/O, more build quality and better build quality, like everything, all those features are worth the $200 that you will spend extra. Of course, if you do want to spec out specs, the 512 gigabyte SSD and of course the 16 gigabytes of RAM, it's about $15.99, and so it's almost $400 of difference, or at least $400 of difference for the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch, and that's understandable that you will go for the M2 MacBook Air. But either that, if you do want to save money, go for the M1 MacBook Air. If you don't want to save money, you want to spend a good amount of money, or at least you have a budget of maximum $2,000, and you want to get the best amount of computer that you can for $2,000, then I do think that the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch is the best option for you. So let me know in the comments down below what you think on this matter, because the M2 MacBook Air is a great computer, it's an amazing computer. The problem is it's sandwiched between the two best ever laptops released by Apple, the M1 MacBook Air and the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch. But let me know your opinions in the comments down below. If you do really like the M2 MacBook Air, did you bought one? Let me know that. And of course, let me know, do you agree with me? Do you think that this opinion is valid? Do you think that the M1 MacBook Air and the M1 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch are really the two best computers that Apple has ever released? And are they completely killing and cannibalizing all of the rest of the computers between them? Let me know all of that in the comments down below. And of course, while you're there, do not forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. This has been Tech Smart talking to you here. Bye.